Hello. Hi, everyone. How are you doing today? My phone just beeped as a reminder that something's happening. And welcome to my live stream, All Things Woodturning. It's good to be here Friday afternoon at 2:30 Central Time in the U.S. And in Allen, Texas, it's a little muggy today. It's been getting warmer and stuff. AC's kicking in and stuff these days. So luckily, I have a mini split up in the shop here, and it's not too bad in here. But thanks for joining, David Perez. As always, thank you. Good to have you here. Michael McEwen, thank you for joining. Good to have you here. Let's see. There's Keith from Illinois. Nice to have you here. Thank you. Another over the seas, Ian Coates. Good to have you here. Thank you. And Gerald, I don't know, but thank you for joining, for being inside on a nice day. Ugly days elsewhere in Portland and over in the UK where Ian's at. Paul is all the way from the UK as well. Good to have you here. Let's see, friend Mark Gist from down in Arlington, just Arlington, Texas, that is, not Virginia. Little 50 minutes away. Sunshine State. Good to have you here, Ron. My friend Joe from San Diego. Good to have you here. Thank you for joining, Joe. Appreciate it. Get back to work now. It's Friday. See, this is, I told this story years ago. I'll tell it again. But my job when I was, gosh, I don't even know how old I was, 24, 22. Anyway, I can't remember. It was at a company. It's actually where I met my wife, Shelley. And Friday afternoons, the plant shut down at 2:30. So I got the moniker 2:30 Todd as the guy to talk to about where we're going for beers after work on Friday. So that's why I'm at 2:30. It kind of stuck. So there you go, 2:30 Todd. Let's see, Jim, greeting. Happy to have you here from Utah. Ron says there's serious rain there where he is at. So, or sorry, Ian is saying that. I don't know why I said Ron. Anyway, Jim, good to have you here. Another one from up in Oregon near David Perez. Gary Bobenhouse, local guy. Good to have you here, Gary Bob. And Mary Alice, good to have you here. Thank you for joining. We got some good old friends here I haven't seen for a while. Dennis Wall, nice, New Orleans. And Trussville, Alabama. Ken, I'm not sure where Trussville is, but another friend of the show is from Alabama. Now his name's escaped me. I'm sure my wife will tell me. Let's see, Martin, good to have you here, Mesa, Arizona. Nick, good to have you here, my friend, from I think San Antonio area. And Glenn from Florida. All these people I've met and know through symposiums and doing things like this. So it keeps going on and on. I didn't think there'd be that many here. So Greg from Wisconsin, good to have you here. Just gonna skip down a few. Bonnie Chase, another local. Thanks for joining, Bonnie. Appreciate it. My friend Tony. Say hi to Nikki from us. Tony, we'll see you soon. Hopefully at some point. Jim from Winnipeg. You know, I used to live in Winnipeg for a year and a half. And had some fond memories there. I can't share them all, but so be it. Steve, good to have you here. Thank you for joining, everybody. Man, that's a great crowd we got. I appreciate it. So your job now is to send some questions in, because I didn't have a lot prepared. So send your questions in. I'd love to answer them. I'm going to talk about a couple of things I have here to show. We'll talk a few things coming up. But if you throw a question in or a comment, let me know. If there's a small sort of turning skill, technique, tool, or something like that you want me to show, put that in the comments as well, because I'd be happy to kind of accommodate that. And not true, Joe, but nice of you to kind of segue into that. I am giving away something today, but it's not gouges. I have an upcoming IRD or PRD, and so I'll be giving tickets away for that. So stick around. I'll show you the code here in a second. But nice try, Joe. So next time you and I get together, I think you owe me a beer. So there you go. Oh, by the way, Joe, have you done that? Have you finished it yet? If not, we're all dying to see pictures. So whenever you get a chance, I know the job gets in the way. So good to have you here. Roger, good to have you here from Arizona. Thank you. Okay, Martin says a skew on spindle examples. Okay, we can do that. We can do that. Let me star that comment, and then Tony asks, "Oops, can you show me how to turn pendants, maybe tiny bowls?" We could. That may take up a little bit more time, but I'll show you one method I've got. If I, yeah, so we'll see if I don't know if I'll get to actually turning a pendant because I don't know if I have any blanks ready, but I'll show you a couple of different things that I can do for that. So let me start that one. So, good. Joe said, "What are you making with the cool burl you showed?" I'll star that one. We'll talk about that as well. So, what do you mean no? Oh, it's not ready yet. Okay. Well, we're dying to wait. So whenever you get to that, it'd be fantastic. So let me talk about a few things coming up. First of all, as you all know, this is how you get a hold of me. Wood Turning Tool Store. We just passed our 7 years. I do have some weekly specials up on the website. So if you go to the website over on the left side of the menu, you'll see special deals tab, a menu item. Click on that. There's a few things on there. There's a couple of Carter & Son gouges that are on sale, but Joe, they're not free. So there you go. And there's a couple of woodcut tool things there for sale as well. I may keep this weekly sale thing going on things that I just thought might be interesting, maybe 1 or 2 items. So I'm playing with the idea. I'm not sure it's going to stick around, but okay, that's a good question. A couple of good questions I'm just highlighting here. So, and let's see. Okay, there we go. So we'll get to the questions here in a minute. Thank you for making all those questions. So it's going to be a good show. So next up, my friend Cindy, our friend Cindy, does these live streams as well. And so every other Friday for me, she's usually on, or we have a sharing session. So I think that next week she is on doing something. And then the week after that, which would be 14 plus 3 is 17. I guess the 17th is my next day. So yeah, that's going to be how this live streams kind of work. So get on our mailing list. We'll let you know, or just show up here Friday at 2:30. I think 1 o'clock for Central for Cindy. So I do have. Let me see that. I do have banners for this stuff. Let's see. Sign up in Cindy's email to get notified. She'll be online. So sign up. There's the link. I can't really stick it in the chat for you, but go to cindydrozda.com. There's a subscribe button on her front page, and you can get that checked out. So speaking of Cindy, her next demo is tomorrow. So get busy. Well, maybe not busy, but make time to go to her website and sign up for this. This is making the pedestal and the finial up there. So it's the Space Needle, finial, and pedestal demo. She did the burl turning, the spaceship turning last demo. And so this one is Saturday, May 4th, tomorrow. May the 4th be with you, right? So kind of, nice to have a spaceship themed demo happening on May the 4th. 12 noon Central Time, 1 o'clock Eastern, and pick your time zone from there. So Joe, if you can't figure that out, I won't see you there. Anyway, so moving on. So join that. So that's always a good one. And then, oops, not the wrong button, Todd. One next to it. I have a demo coming up on May 18th, and this one is kind of clued into one of the questions about spindle turning. Several simple spindle turnings. So this is kind of meant to kind of get people, not always beginners, but people that maybe struggle with spindle turning or some projects to do spindle turning. I know there's a lot of bowl turners out there, and I love making bowls too, but there's a lot of great projects you can do in a quick, easy fashion. Some of them are great for craft show items, so Tony, heads up on that. Some are just great gifts, and some are just good practice and fun to turn, utilizing different things. So we'll learn, some confidence at the lathe, how to start with something, learn stock prep, holding methods, spindle turning techniques and tools, different tools you can use for all that, and maybe some quick, easy finishing. We'll talk about some jam chucking stuff on the lathe as well. So this will be a good one. That is Saturday, May 18th. So the day after my next live stream. So, it's not 2025. I got a typo in this thing. It's 2024 at noon Central. So let me take that off. Typing too quick. I can't. I didn't read that one quite well. Anyway, so that is what I have coming up next on May 18th. It should be a fun one. Go to my website. You can see how to sign up or buy a ticket on the front page there. And it's $20 per person. You get 3 hours of live, and you get a 6-month replay time. So I've changed my sort of modus operandi a little bit on these. I've had to raise the price, from 15 up to 20. But you get 6 months viewing, and it's going to be a great show. I got great cameras here. I do pretty good, decent post-production, so you have a good replay to look at some of these things. And hopefully you'll learn a lot. Join live, because you can ask all kinds of questions, and we can get through a whole bunch of stuff. I'm hoping we get through all of these. We should be able to get through all of these in 3 hours, and if we got more time, there might be another bonus project. We never know. So that is what's happening. And then following that, we have sharing session. Did I get this right? I did. May 24th. So the week following my demo, actually 6 days, on the Friday, it's actually the Friday before the AEW symposium, join Cindy and I for a quick hour on Zoom to share your turnings, ask questions about our past demos, and that kind of thing. So we'll be available to you to do that. So month full of things. The live stream today, Cindy's demo tomorrow, her live stream next week, my live stream, my demo, sharing session. So we're keeping you busy, but hopefully you pick 1 or 2 or 3 or all of them to join and see what comes of it. So great. I think that is my last thing, but I do have one thing here. Raffle today. So I'm going to give away 2 tickets to this thing. 2 tickets. It'll be 2 drawings. If you type pound SSST, several simple spindle turnings in the chat. So let me see how we're all doing on that. Let's see. Anybody want to enter pound SSST in the chat, and we shall see how it goes. Oops, hang on. I've lost my chat. There we go. There we go. Paul Howard and Ian Coates have it. Good job. SSST. That's simple enough. I don't know what else it stands for, but there we go. We got people on the roll for it. So good stuff. Let me take that off. And SSST, I'll leave this up for just a minute longer, but you can see in the chat other people doing it. So follow suit, whether you're on StreamYard or YouTube. Did I do this to Facebook? I did this to my Wood Turning Tool Store Facebook page. So good stuff. So go there, and I got to find my banners and turn that one off. And there we go. So Q&A is next. I don't have anything else there. Let me back up. I'll leave it there. I'll get big. And we'll go and attack our first question. And can I start? I did star 6 of them. So keep putting those in the chat, and at the end we'll do a drawing. So first, before I get to Martin's question and these other questions, there are a couple of things I quickly wanted to show. So let me go to the overhead view. Let me take this Q&A banner off. And that is the headshot view, Todd. There we go. Whoops. Boy, I'm troubles with my buttons here today. We have, so from last week or the last episode, I turned a little bit of the bur oak as a, here's a little chunk of it here. Some of the oak I harvested from that tree that came down in Plano. I took that little bowl I turned and I stuck it in this post box. And let me get my own self off of there. And I put some shavings in it, closed the box, buried this in the shavings for the last 2 weeks, actually a week. And a week ago, I opened the box and just let it sit there buried in shavings for another week. So this is 2 weeks now since I turned this guy. And it's nice. It hasn't cracked. It's warped quite a bit. And I should have known that. Oak does tend to warp quite a bit. So let's take a look at how much it warped. I'm going to do this in millimeters because it's just easier to get the final count. So we're at a maximum long diameter of about 116, 117 millimeters. So that is for those guys. 1 and almost 5/8. 1 and 5/8, yeah. Sorry, 4 and 5/8, not 1 and 5/8. 4 and 5/8 are 116 millimeters. Along the short side, because it's gone oval, you can see it's kind of gone oval. Maybe it's not quite as noticeable there. It's 110. So we got a 6 millimeter difference. This is 4 and 3/8, so a quarter inch. 6 millimeters, quarter inch. If I look at the thickness of this guy, it's 7 millimeters. I did not leave enough rim thickness to make a bowl out of this. So this guy will end up as an oval bowl. Probably what I'll do is I'll mount it just like this and try and round this bottom over as best I can and leave it a wobbly oval bowl that's going to sit in the shop. It might just even flatten it off on a sanding disc and not even worry about it. So it'll be a shop bowl. I have plenty around for trying finishes and stuff. So I'll do that. It's still a bit kind of cool to the touch, so I don't think it's fully dried out yet. And so that's a good update on that, guy. So I'm happy to report that this oak is seasoning quite well. It's not cracking. This bark inclusion thing actually held together quite well. So quite happy. So that tells me a lot about that oak and a lot about how to sort of manage it as we go through. And I turn the rest of it. So I have, so somebody else asked about, Joe asked about that curly maple that I was turning. I posted on Instagram, and here it is here. So this is a nice piece of nice curly maple. This is about 11 inches, 11 and a half inches in diameter. This is a Ikebana vase on the middle. It's a little metal insert. I painted it black. And these spikes, if you can kind of see, it's hard to tell there in that light. Let me do this. And there's a bunch of spikes down there. And those spikes, basically, you stuff flower stems on there, and it holds flowers. So it's a flower vase. And so this is a gorgeous piece of curly maple that I've turned a foot on, and it's going to be a vase sitting on the ground or on the table like that with flowers coming out of it. So I've got a little bit of a slope on this edge. If we look at the profile, I can hold it there. So it's a bit sloped this way, and slope kind of matches the foot there. The foot is integral. This is also part of the wood, just cut in there and dyed with black India ink. Can't remember what kind. I have it here. It works quite well. I was quite happy with it. Doc Martens Bombay Black. Let me zoom in on that, because this stuff did work really quite well. So that is not this black. That is spray paint, that part, but that is that black. So, and I think it did, whoops, wrong way. Let me get the light on it. It really did quite well. So And those, I say those, because I have 3 more blanks to do. 3 blanks to make 3 more frogs. Here's the frogs not painted. And let me see. Wrong one. There we go. And wrong zoom. There we go. There's the focus. So unpainted and painted. My daughter wanted them black, so these are for my daughter, and she will have 3 of them for her wedding coming up. So this material I found. So here's another blank of it. I've roughed out. Got some roughed out. I found, oh God, 20 some odd years ago, 22 years ago or more, and $450 for about a 6-foot stick that was about, a good almost 3 inches thick, 3.5 inches thick, and about 12.5 inches wide. Found that about a local wood supplier that went out of business. I didn't pay $450 for it, so I got quite a good deal because he was unfortunately going out of business. I would have paid for it if I needed it then, but I bought it 20 years ago thinking I'd do something with it, and by chance I do have something to do with it. So one other thing to show, if you're all still here, let me just check comments here, and because I know there's a bunch of other people putting in the SSST. Good. Here, this one, Nick, try that without the comma in front of it, okay? So get the without the comma, just the pound SSST. I think upper and lowercase would be fine. So uppercase probably works as well. And I just saw one, Charlie. No, not Charlie. Where's that other comment? Oh, Gary Bob, SST, finally got it. Okay, just make sure you put one in with just SSST. The pound SSST. Make sure. Oh, there you go. Nick, you did get it. Okay, good. I'm just scrolling through them. So you flatten the top, turn it upside down, and a candlestick. Okay, could do that. That's cool. Thank you. What did I finish the maple with? That's a good start question. Thank you, Nick, for that one. That was finished with a salad bowl finish from General Finishes. It's about the only sort of thin oil finish I had. I did some wet sanding with it, and it turned out okay. Had to keep it wet and then clean it up. So I tell you, this is about twice as long sanding and finishing as turning. So it's kind of the way it goes with pieces you want to make sure have a good finish on them. So let's see, get back to my starred things. Oh, one more thing to show, right? Robust just came out with a couple of, not a couple, but a couple of tools, I guess. Spindle rough and gouge. So a nice handled, this is a 1 1/4 inch diameter spindle rough and gouge. This one is handled, robust tools there. 12-inch handle on this rough and gouge, and beautiful tool. They also have them unhandled. I have it already in my 5/8 tool adapter here. It's hard to see on there. I got focus up here now, Todd. There we go. That should work. All right. Sorry about that. Let me hold this one up again. So there's the rough and gouge and the handle, and then the unhandled one. Now the nice thing, or the different thing about these, Carter & Son have one like this, and so they're the same price as Carter & Son, $169 for the unhandled version. I forget what the handled version is, but it's more. I think it's $209 or $200, something like that. The difference with the Carter & Son, obviously the metal is different. The steel, this is still high-speed steel. It's nitride coated, but the shank is 5/8. So the Carter & Son version is 3/4. So for those people that don't have a 3/4 inch handle adapter or some other tool that takes 3/4, this one is 5/8. So now you've got a solid, well-built, excellent tool steel, robust, what am I calling this? Spindle roughing gouge. Sorry, what? I forgot my words for a second. So yeah, 5/8 adapter on that, and you're good to go. Let me see if I can I get that. Let me zoom in. That's my modular handle adapter, 5/8 on there with set screws, and it goes on. So there you go. So that is the new tool of the week. Just got these in yesterday. So they've been on the website for a few days. So if you're looking for a good large spindle roughing gouge, there's another option for you. So good stuff. I wanted to make sure I showed that because we did just bring them in. Now, keep asking the questions. I've got a few stacked up here, but we'll see if we get to them all. So skew on a spindle example. So let's take this little chunk of maple, and I've got a little this little Nova G3, I believe, on the lathe. It's just what I was using. I always go the wrong way on these guys. So I'll use this for actually this is not really spindle oriented. This is actually face grain oriented. So if I mount it this way, the grain is actually going across this way. So it's not a true spindle. So we'll use this oak. And this is, you can see the grain going this way. This is a true spindle. So I'm just going to stick it in like this. Oops, wrong way again. These Novas go backwards than most of them. So it's relatively square. I cut this oak as square as I kind of could so that I can get it into chunks like this. And I'll tighten it up. And those jaws will bite in. There, safety glasses there. Do I have my skew? Not here. I'll leave this guy. I'll leave that guy. And where are you? There's a skew. I'll use that one. Maybe I'll use, where's my, looking for it, folks. There it is. I have a small, this is a 1/2 inch Carter & Son spindle gouge. Maybe a larger one would work there a bit better, but we'll use this one. And we'll show a few of the different cuts that we can do on this spindle blank. And first I want to make sure I'm cutting on center. So if I look at the wide shot, let me get my question off there, Martin. So if I hold my tool kind of level, I'm cutting at center. So that's important, or the tool rest height. You may want to go up or down a little bit more depending on how you want to angle your tool or how your stature is with your tool. So it's not always set in stone. Power on there. Always turn on my lathe slow like this to begin with. So let me switch back to overhead and maybe put that in picture. All right, so actually let me try, not that one. Oh, I'm just confused here with my buttons. So that one, that'll show sort of, the side view will sort of show my tool handle orientation, and the top view will show where the toe and the heel and the bevel is running. So first thing, we want to kind of round this over, and we should, and I will, since we have it, why not put some tailstock pressure on that. I'll have to extend the quill out a little bit just to reach. That'll just get a bit more stability as we're roughing this thing down, because the first thing we're going to rough with the skew. So a little bit of speed. Safety glasses on. Tool down angle on the tool rest and engage. Notice I'm only kind of cutting in half of the tool width for this roughing, peeling cut. Want to get down till I stop here and it bounce. And that sounds like it's round. You can stop and take a look. And that is round almost all the way. I've got a big chunk taken out, so this oak is a bit chippy, but we'll go through. So if it does end up chipping like this, it may be easier or better to kind of take another tool like a bowl gouge and rough it down this way. I'm cutting from large diameter to small diameter, so kind of downhill in that direction. That's the proper orientation, Martin, for cutting spindles. This method reduces chip out. You could do this with a roughing gouge as well, so no problem there. And then we'll just rough out the rest of it with this bowl gouge. And I'm using this wing kind of like a skew, right along there. I've got it kind of roughed out. We come back to our skew. We can do a planing cut now. Planing cut is now planing across the surface. And I use the the heel, this point here, to kind of move across. I can turn my speed up a little bit now. Speed is kind of one of those things. You get comfortable with whatever speed you're turning at. I'm probably 2,000 RPM right now. You could go full speed. I don't feel it necessary to do that. What I want to show is what part of the skew I'm cutting with here. So if I start that again, you can see I'm starting with the heel, and the dust is just on that bottom heel part. So as I get into the cut, I'm cutting with anything below the midline of the tool. So if we look at the tool where the sawdust is, I'm cutting with the edge below that line. So that's really the key with planing cut on a skew. On spindle is to keep it, if I engage that top corner, I'm going to get a catch. So if I'm going along skewing like that and I catch this top corner, I'm going to dig in and come out of it. So I don't like doing that live because a purposeful mistake like that, because it is kind of intimidating. I get all those fuzzies built up there. I can come in and just kind of clean them up a little bit there. Here, I can use my heel and just dig into that corner. So if I do the next cut here is I don't know what you call this, but it's basically a dividing cut or a V cut. That's it. It's a V cut. So I cut a little V in there with the toe of the skew. Now I got a place where my planing cut's going to end off. So we get up all the way up, and we can finish and cut it right off that V cut. You got a nice cut there. So hopefully that helps, Martin, and that kind of gives you an idea of how to cut. I do have this splinter coming up here. So let me just take that off, because that is annoying. Starting off in space like that is a little bit, judgmental on where you are in the turning. So I've gotten rid of that splinter so I can take the rest of it down now. But basically, if you're starting off in space, you're kind of getting as close to where you could kind of just ease on there. With this point toe up out of the way, you want it kind of resting up on the edge of the skew, on the one edge, not flat. So I typically use the skew up on one edge. That's why this skew and most skews have a rounded corner at the heel part. And this one has a rounded part at the toe as well. So you can plane across with the toe as well. I don't do that very often, but some people do. So we'll be doing some spindle skew work in my May 18th demo as well. So we can certainly review those skills and stuff there as well. So that's cleaned up fairly nicely. It's got a nice clean. I've actually got a bit of a pommel cut, but that's mostly from the bowl gouge. One of the other cuts is cleaning up this end. So if we take that off and just switch to the wide, we got to clean up this end here. And we can do that with this point of the skew as well. What I've done, and let me put the overhead, is my skew is not going straight on. I'm lining this bevel up with that face. So that's going to create a clean cut right across there. So now we got a clean end there. So those are 3, I don't know if I did 3 or 4. The peeling cut, planing cut, V cut, end cut. It's kind of a V cut in a way, but not really. So that's 4 different cuts with the skew. I know there's probably more. I just don't know them. So there you go. So that's question 1, Martin. So thank you for asking that one. Let me go. Let me just double check. Let's see. Did Cindy make it? Oh, Cindy made it online. Thank you, Cindy, for joining. Appreciate it. Yeah, Gary said, is the skew flat on the churros? You angle it up. So I angled it up. I think like I was just showing at the end there, Gary. Scott, hey, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Good to have you here. Sorry, I'm just trying to scroll up and see what is going on. So let me, for those new folks that joined, let me just put this up a quick second again. Raffle, enter the pound SSST into the chat, and we'll draw for that probably in about 15, 20 minutes or so. Okay, so 2 new comments. Roger's here. Thank you for joining, Roger. Appreciate it. And let's get on to the next question. Tony was asking, can you show me how to turn pendants, maybe tiny bowls? Okay, so one way is to use the Niles off-center joiner jig. That I think I did a demo on. You could probably find demos on those on Niles Bottle Stopper's website. So that is certainly a good way to do it. They've got a fixture that mounts on your headstock on your spindle, and from there you have maybe use double stick tape or CA glue to a blank or a mandrel or something like that, and you can turn your pendant that way. It's very nice because you can create some unique patterns and stuff. Tony, maybe you've seen that one before. I'm not quite sure, but let me take this out of this chuck off. Oh, good, it came off with the spindle. Take that off. I'll show you a little bit of what I'm doing here. There is another way that I used as well. Maybe not the way you'd want to go about it, but the other way is to create some sort of mounting surface for double stick tape, and double stick tape your pendant there and turn it. So this is the 2-inch Elio drive. I've just got a block of wood on it, and it's threaded on the end. So I pair this with this threaded bar that's going to go through my headstock and come out the spindle, and these two will screw together inside the spindle here. So reason I do this is if I have this on here and I don't have it secured, it can come out while it's spinning and rotating. So the drawbar helps it screw together. So now it is locked in there. And the other side of the drawbar here, I've got a couple of wing nuts that tighten it up to the end there. And oops, I didn't quite get that tightened up. Yes, I did. Just got to tighten up the wing nut on this side. So there we go. Now, there's no way that this is coming out, right? So what I've done on the other side here is tighten up the wing nuts on the end of that threaded rod. Now this is locked in, and there's no way that's going to spin out. So on here, we could put a piece of double stick tape. I wonder if I can just zoom that a little bit more. I'm trying to get that focused. And create a surface. I actually used this for that PowerShell veneer type sheets, and used my Skew to cut out the little circles that I inlaid into, I think, a bottle stopper or something else. I can't remember, but this is a great method for doing that. It's a waste block. You're not, not too worried about anything. So double sticking that PowerShell sheet, circular sheet on there, and then cutting out the size you need is a great way to do that. So I don't have access to the joiner jig, the Niles bottle stopper joiner jig, offset jig, but it's kind of a similar idea in that you've got, now I'm undoing this threaded rod back here. So that was threaded on this guy here, there on the inside. So that just 1/4 by 20 threaded rod attached inside the headstock, allows that to stay safely in place. So yeah, Tony, I can't really show. I don't have any pendant jigs handy, or sorry, blanks handy, or double stick tape, but there's a couple of different methods there. And if somebody has a link to the Niles bottle stopper place with that joiner jig, that would probably help Tony out. So let's see. Just double checking. And if I missed any questions along the way. Answered that one. Okay, good. I'll say on to the next question from before. Joe, I think I answered this one earlier. For those that didn't see it, I'll show it again just briefly. I posted this a picture of this on Instagram the other day. This is, and this is a Ikebana vase out of this curly maple, and there's the edge and the side, and the back, a foot. I've got 3 more to make. I'm going to make the foot a bit bigger on the next ones, but they're basically Japanese flower, and they're pretty hefty. So I don't think I'm going to have any problems with this tipping. But I'm making the foot a bit bigger because this well in here and this foot meet at probably 1/2 inch of wood in between there. So making it a bit bigger will be easier. And if anybody noticed, I have a well for the bottom of the vase, and I have the rim area for the flange to sit into. I've got this secondary dovetail in here, and that's how I mount it. Once I create a tenon here, a big tenon here, I mount it this way, create all this space, finish all this, finish the side, put this little dovetail in here, and I can flip it around on a jaw, dovetail jaw in that expansion mode, and finish the backside, finish the foot, and all that stuff. So that is what that is for. It's hidden underneath the frog or the insert, and but it's there always. If you ever want to put it back on the lathe and refinish it. So it does give you access to almost the whole top area, except for the sort of flanged area. So you can get access to everything if you want to refinish or add finish. So that, Joe, is what those are. Big leaf curly maple, picked up 22, 24 years ago at a local supplier that was going out of business. So it's been sitting in my shop or my shed for that long. Let's see. Greg asks, I struggle to finish the very ever center of a bowl, inside of a bowl. Any tips on doing it without leaving a bump or a hole? All right. So first thing, if you're going to leave anything, leave a bump. And why? It's because, so do I have a bowl blank? I do have, looking around. Okay, we can use that maybe. It's not really a bowl, but it will get the purpose across. Sorry, I'm just looking in my pile of stuff. Do I have a? Oh, there's a. Let's use that. Well, that already has a hole in it. That's not going to work. We'll just use this. Okay. So here we have. It's not really a bowl, but it's a blank that I'll use and show. It's got a recess on the back, so I'll stick on my chuck and kind of show just a quick demo of what you want. On. So this is an expansion mode recess. This is a small plate that I was, oops, dropped my chuck key. Okay, we'll move that out of the way. We'll get my glasses back on, and we'll use maybe that and that. We'll start with that. All right, so who do we have here? Greg. Okay, so the reason I say you want to leave a bump is if you leave a divot or a what'd you call it, a hole, then you've got to level out the rest of the bowl. So let me switch to that shot, and I'm just going to level out or turn this little bit in the center. Not going to do the whole thing, but tool rest is just a little bit high. So this is the center of our bowl. If I leave a hole there, like a little divot like that in it, then what I have to do is I have to put everything in here all the way down to that level, right? So now I have to go through, if I've got my little negative rake scraper, and if I wanted to scrape that, now I don't have a handle in this tool, so I have to level all of this down to that point, right? Till I get it level with that point. So now I've just wasted all that wood, and sometimes maybe you don't have all that wood down there. So if I leave a bump, maybe something like that, where it's bumping out there. Let me just clean up this last cut here, because that was... So I've got all this already done and finished. This area in here is all, that's all done in there. I've got a little something catching me there. So this is all done in here. I've got this bump in the middle I got to worry about, but that's the only place I have to worry about is right in there. I don't have to worry about all that out there. So that's why you want to leave a bump, if anything. And then you can use a negative rake scraper or some sort of tool to level it out. And if you're... So you're just working on one area to smooth it with the other area instead of smoothing the whole area. So wiggling my tool up and down to get underneath the middle part, and just gently level it out with the rest. The other thing you can do is sandpaper. So just for demonstration purposes, I have 80 grit here. I can sand that middle down. If I stop the lathe, the middle's not spinning fast enough for me to really sand. But I can sand that middle bump down a lot more than I can sand the whole bowl, right? So I have a little bit more control over sanding that middle bump down on my bowl or plate or platter and getting it smooth with the rest of the surrounding area. So if you're going to do it, leave a little bump, use a little negative rake scraper or whatever tool you want to use and smooth it out. At the very least, you can use sandpaper to level out that bottom of the bowl. And if you're power sanding inside a bowl, then you're that's my power sander going off in the wrong place. So if I have this 80 grit on there and I'm trying to get that, I can now power sand that while it's stationary. Quite a bit easier, and remove that bump rather than having to sand the whole bowl, right? So hopefully that kind of answers that question. Greg, let me know if you have a follow-up. So thank you for the question, Greg. Good question for sure. These are quick tutorials. If you've got more follow-up questions, feel free to email me or give me a call. Lou says, why not turn crappy wood? Well, so here's, so it's a famous John Jordan saying, right? Don't waste your time turning crappy wood. But there are some wood that's crappy or that's holy or featured in some way that you may want to keep on. I've seen lots of pictures on Instagram with people turning cherry burls or other burls that have bark inclusions. I'm sorry, I'm wandering off the screen here, showing a couple of things. So here's a good piece of, might be crappy wood. But what else? I don't have a lot of crappy wood around me. So, but I do have this one piece. I'm trying to think what else I see over there. So I have this guy, which is got a huge crack in it, but there is hope for it because for me, this goes that deep, and what I can do with that is get rid of this whole crack here. So I can keep my bowl down in there, cut down to there, should get rid of that. On the other side, it's about the same. So I'm going to make a bowl out of this. This is all going to go away. So it may look like a crappy piece of wood, but it's got some interesting spalting. This is silver maple, I believe. And it's got some cracks in it here and there that should hopefully go away. But it's pretty dry, as from what I can tell. And so that is not a piece of crappy wood to me. What's going to be challenging is to mount it, right? So if you're going between centers, I'll typically mount this side of the headstock, this side of the sail stock. So this is fine. I can get the tailstock on there. To get over that middle, again, I pull out my Elio drive because I can bridge that middle with the center pin, but I'm driving with the two outer pins. So I can bridge the gap. If I have a standard, I don't even have a 4-prong center here. Believe it or not, I don't really use them a lot. But a standard drive is going to sit there. You can get the bowl drive accessory for this. Do I have that? I have that out. I have it in the drawer. I don't have it out here. I need to put it out here. Let me see if I can find it. This is also a good idea that Thought I did have it. No, I don't have it. I don't have it out here. I thought I did. But there's an accessory, the bowl drive. It's a big cup. It's basically this kind of cup center, but bigger. And that would work to bridge this guy. But standard 4-prong spur center might have problems bridging that, depending how big it is. So a lot of people do resin work and or epoxy stuff. And so you can do all kinds of filling in the gaps in stuff. I don't do a lot of that. So if I see something that's really cracked, I'll probably just cut it out, take it to the bandsaw, and instead of one big blank, I'll have several small blanks. What did I do that with recently? Oh, this actually this I got this in a log section, and there's a bunch of other crappy wood, so I ended up cutting a bunch of small blanks out of a lot bigger pieces. So that's one way to look at it is I'm just searching for other stuff. I don't have a lot milled up that's crappy wood. So, but yeah, that's your choice, I guess. Some people don't waste their time with it and just turn clean wood. Richard Graffin's famous for that. I was just watching Richard's YouTubes recently, and he's always cutting away cracks and marking them and taking a blank that's this thick down to this thick just to get rid of cracks. So yeah, and that makes sense from a production turner and stuff like that. So, and James Brode asks, what's the trick to get a great CA finish on pens? I am probably not the right person to ask this question. So I know that there's some preferred CA glues for doing that. Cindy has done some with the Parfix 3408 on some bottle stoppers and things like that. So I think, first of all, working with CA, you got to be careful, right? Use a safety gear, so, a respirator that's able to suck those fumes away. They're very harsh fumes. In fact, I was watching a TV show, and they actually use cyanoacrylate in forensics. They fume it kind of like oak fuming and onto evidence, and it leaves deposits of all this vapor. It's basically when you spray CA with activator, you get that white blooming. That in forensics apparently sticks to things that help you create fingerprints on stuff. So I don't know, but it was on a TV show we were watching. So hey, that's CA glue. So, but anyway, sideways. That's really quite a sideways story. But wear your respirator. Beware of the fumes. Beware of not spinning it up too fast when you're putting it on. You'll have a stripe of CA glue on your visor. So if you're using a face shield, which I suggest you do, if not, safety glasses at the bare minimum. You'll want a replaceable sort of plastic visors over that. I use when I turned all that maple stuff, I used a powered respirator cap. One of these guys, power cap by Peak Safety. So it's a powered respirator. It's got a battery in it, and it's full face shield. Face shield, I've got plastic sheet mylars that cover it, so those are disposable. I rip those off when they get dirty or scratched up, so I'm keeping the plastic pristine. The filters that I have in that are just for dust right now, but they do have filters, charcoal filters for fumes, and so I recommend safety gear, and then not spinning it up and having wet CA spray over the place. And then choosing your CA glue, quality CA glue, make sure it's fresh. It has a shelf life of about 6 months or so. I keep mine in the fridge in a container, sealed container. And I know Scott Grove has some different ideas on how to store it. So those are the tips I can give you. How to get a great CA finish on pens. I don't do a lot of CA finish. So those are some of the tips I've just learned. Great question, though. And Nick asked, what did you finish the maple with? So that was the General Finishes salad bowl finish. grab that can here. That was the most of what I've used on that thing. I did some, this is fairly thin, so I did some wet sanding with it just to kind of see how that worked. I dry sanded up to 600, I think, and that wet sanded from 600, 800, and did I do 1,000? I don't think I did 1,000 yet. I did put a top coat of water locks on top of that. I let the general finishes salad bowl finish. I use that because that's the only sort of drying oil finish I had in the shop at the time. So, and that one I showed you is actually the prototype. It's not one that's going to go out the door. So, so yeah, that's what I used. Other things to use, other oil finishes, really pop the grain. It tones the amber, sort of the maple down to an amber color, which I like, versus the stark white. The black I showed on the bottom was that Doc Martens Bombay ink, black ink. It's amazing. It worked really quite well. Quite happy with it. That's it. That's all the questions I have lined up in stars. Let's do, just scrolling down to the bottom to see where I'm at. All right. Oh, thank you, Tony. There's the link to the bottle stopper thing. Yeah, Carl, I think had videos on the joiner jig. Good stuff. Perfect. Thanks. People are doing their job. Thank you very much for helping out, putting those stops in. Spectacular grain in that. Yeah, there's going to be some really good grain. Exactly. Better have a bump than a hole. Let's see. What does Pete say? A bump is likely not cutting right at center, slightly above or below. A hole is probably from not following your bevel and allowing the tip to cut deeper. Yep, that could be the reason why. Let's see, faceplate, perhaps. Not sure what that is referring to. Oh, yeah, maybe, yes, absolutely, for doing pendants. Faceplate with a block on it, just like I showed with the Elio Drive. Absolutely. Lou says Mercury Flex Medium. That's Mercury is a make of CA glue, and they have different styles of stuff. I've heard they're a pretty good CA glue. I've heard that it's sometimes hard to get deliveries from them. But Cindy says watch Kirk Cap on Twitch for Parfex Finish. Good stuff. Yep. See, Daryl Jones does see a finish with a thin star bond. Good. Daryl's on YouTube as well. Dreadnought Woodturning. And there's Lee. That was the name I was thinking of, the other Alabama guy. Thank you for joining, Lee. Appreciate it. There was somebody up top that was from Alabama, and I was trying to think, who else do I know from Alabama? So watch Mark Dreyer. Yeah, good stuff. Love the Cap and their warehouses in the town next to me. Okay, good, Lou. They're down in Florida, I believe, somewhere, right? So good. Yeah, the Power Cap has been my go-to. I had the Trend for a while. I found it a little heavy on the front. This one, the battery's at the back, so it evens out a little bit better. It is a very small thing on my big head, but it works well. Todd asks, any recommendation for a grinder for CBN wheels? So I have two. I have a Rikon 1 horsepower over there. It's working good. I don't have any complaints about it. I have I think a Woodcraft house brand, half inch or quarter inch, half horsepower or quarter horsepower. I think it's half horsepower grinder over here. And so they both work well. I will say the 1 horsepower spins those big CBN wheels up, heavy speed CBN wheels up a lot quicker. So if you're using steel CBN wheels, then you'd want a larger horsepower motor. If you're using CBN wheels on both, I don't think there's any issue having a stone wheel on one side and CBN on the other side. I did that for a long time, but one is going to be a lot lighter than the other, so you may wear your bearings out a bit more. I don't know. I'm not a real grinder bearing kind of guy, but that would make sense to me. You want sort of equal weight. And so I have CBN wheels on both sides of each grinder. If you're using aluminum CBN wheels, then they may spin up faster on a lighter horsepowered machine. So 8-inch is what I go with. If you got room for the 8-inch wheels, I think they're I don't know. That's just my choice instead of the 6-inch wheels. So there you go. That's what I do. Let me reiterate once again, because we're going to do this right here, right now. Raffle time. So pound SSST, and let's get set up here. So put that in, and we have 55 entries. I'll wait about 30 seconds, and we'll do the drawing. So remember, join us tomorrow. Cindy's doing a demo tomorrow. Go to cindydroser.com to sign up for her class. That's tomorrow at noon Central? Yes, noon Central tomorrow, May 4th, and may the 4th be with you. And then next week she does her live stream, and the week after that I do my live stream, and the 18th I do this demo, the SSST, several simple spindle turnings. So with all that said, that's a little bit, I'm getting dry mouth now. I gotta, I'm talking too much. That's a sure sign that I'm talking too much. My mouth is getting dry. All right, so let me go over here. We've got 59 entries. We'll raffle off one now. Ready, set, here we go. And let's see who wins. And if somebody would want to write this in the chat for me as they win, that'd be great. Congratulations, Steve Botkin. Steve Botkin wins. Steve is on StreamYard. And so, Steve, I have your email address. I will email you or send you a ticket via email. So, Steve Botkin, thank you very much for joining. So let's do that again. Still 59 entries, and we will do that again. 1, 2, 3, go. One more ticket to the several simple spindle turnings demo on the 18th, and we have Paul Howard. Congratulations, Paul! You get a free ticket to this one. Well done. And so, Paul, I have your email. I'll send you a ticket as well. Paul's been to several of my past demos, so it's good to have him back. So that is going to wrap it up, folks. And I want to say, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. I want to say thank you very much to everybody for joining. I do appreciate it. It's always fun to be out here and chatting with you, and it's really great to have this interaction. So if you didn't get your question answered today, if you got questions afterwards, please feel free to email me. Oh, I did that already. Right there. Get out of the way, Todd. Todd at woodturningtoolstore.com. There's a contact form on the website. Reach out that way. If you got a question, I'd be happy to answer and chat with you. So with all that said, I want to bid you all a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow. And otherwise, stay out of the rain. Go enjoy the weather wherever you are. Just have fun. Be kind to everybody. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.